traffic that flows through organic search comes to you gratis. The only cost would be the cost to actually go off and generate the work needed to get the site in a position where it's fight and fit and it's attractive to Google.
There's also the ranking factors. Can you tell us what those are?
Yeah, so those 200 or so signals that we talked about are all individual ranking factors. So those, I sometimes explain this, if you say 200 different signals, people say, well, where do you start? But not all signals are created equally, and not all ranking factors are equal. So there are some which are more important than others. So you can say that, things like the overall domain authority of a website, how important it is in terms of how search engines perceive it. That's a higher, somebody's domain ranking or page ranking of a page is actually...
What does that mean?
Okay, so search engines give arbitrary scores to pages based on all those factors, and then they kind of score how it sits. So we'll look at a number of tools which we use to say, is this a good site or a bad site? So
that's our sort of overall score?
Yeah, and all that feeds in from those 200 or so signals into these groups of sets of ranking factors. So say we talked about user experience and usability, technicals. Authority is really important, and I think one of the myths that people have still got is that links aren't important anymore in SEO because Google essentially went through a big shift a few years ago where they implemented a whole new algorithm called Penguin, which essentially downgraded bad quality links, and since then they've went through a process saying all links have to be relevant, not just from important sites, but actually relevant to your topic or your industry or your sector. But links are still vitally important, and those are, when we look at a website, the first thing we'll look at in terms of how authoritative it is how many good quality backlinks it's got from good other domains. So if you do a PR piece and you get picked up and you get links from BBC and The Guardian.
So something like the BBC's got a great
authority. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the more important a website, the higher the authority. So
right, and if you link back to that, then you get the benefit.
You get a link from them. So essentially, if you do a piece of content which gets picked up by these types of people or by tourism boards or Visit Scotland or something, then you would get a link benefit from that. Yoast is a plugin that you use on WordPress, which is a technology you've probably all heard of by now, and it's a fantastic tool because it allows you to very easily add a page title to the page, which Google looks at as the most important on-page factor in deciding what a page is about, what the topic is.
Right.
And it also allows you to create a meta description, which we'll touch on in a second. But Yoast's problem is that actually the focus keywords, it shouldn't just be a keyword, it's really what the topic of that page is, and that's what you want to try and get it to rank for. So essentially, you can add, it will give you a kind of scoring factor, it'll be like a traffic light to say, is it good, bad, or indifferent? But really what you should be concentrating on is, what is the page about? What's the theme of the page? If you had to say in a headline what it's going to be, like a news article, what is the headline? That tends to be the page title.
And how specific should that be?
Well, it should be unique, first of all, across your whole website. Every page should have a different title because, as I say, the first factor Google looks at when it comes to web pages, what's the title of the page? And quite often we see very generic titles across the site or pages with no title because nobody's filled them in. So Google's starting to guess immediately what's the page about. It's trying to follow the content and understand. So you've got a chance to essentially tell Google up front what the page is, what it's about, what the topic is, and then that should match through the content.
And what about the meta description?
Yeah, okay. So meta description is something else you can control through Yoast and WordPress, but you can do it in most websites. And essentially the meta description, if you look at the search result pages and you type a query, you'll get a whole list of stuff will pop up in front of you. And if you look at what you'll normally see is a link to a page, and then there'll be 2 lines of text underneath that normally. Sometimes it's more now, they can extend them slightly further, depending on the search query. And that is controlled from the meta description in most cases. So if you can write a meta description, which is essentially a bit like your own organic advert. So if you create a text ad in Google AdWords, you'll use a headline and then some text, which is the hook, the sales message. And in a meta description, you can do exactly the same thing. You can talk about 5-star accommodation Dornoch right next to the golf course. So that gives you, people can see that page and it allows them to make a better judgment on, is it a good, should I click it or not? So that influences.
Is that what comes up underneath?
Yeah, under the link, yeah.
The link.
So it doesn't influence SEO directly anymore, it's not a signal per se, but what it does do is it influences click-through. And that is very much something that's important. They've said before, social isn't a signal, but actually we can call it and say, well, actually people who've got more likes or more followers and their content gets engaged with more often does tend to rank higher.
Yeah. Okay.
And what about reviews? Because that's
massively
Google is changing, as I understand it. So reviews are now very high up as well.
Yeah, they're definitely a ranking factor. So we look at, especially in local search or things like travel, if you're looking at if you look for a B&B in Dornoch, the first thing you'll see is there'll be a Mac pack listing with a number of businesses which will pop up, and you'll see reviews. They'll be from Google, they might be from TripAdvisor, they'll be pulled in dynamically. And that's from an indication, a click-through, people will look at a 5-star review before they look at a 3-star, and it draws your eye, but also from a understanding how Google perceives that website, how authoritative it is in the space for that search query. Reviews are definitely really important. There are a number of tools we can use which are free to test the speed of your website. Not the speed of your internet connection, which is something totally different.
You can't control that anyway.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So the first thing to think about is to look at some of these tools. Now, if you Google something like Page Insights or from Google, there's a developer tool which is free, or Lighthouse, another tool you can use, which you can essentially pop your URL in, enter, and it will give you a report on the page. It will take the speed of the page load, the first time it was pinged, how long the response time from the server was, a whole host of information. But it will also, if you're not very technical, what it does do is it gives you a scoring out of 100 and says, is it good or bad? So it'll be again traffic lighted, so you'll see if your site is fast.